finishing some motions in court, but future Lauren is already on lunch live. So here I am. Oh, and I'm so grateful for the weed whacker that just started right when I started my lunch live. Can you guys hear me though with my mic? I hope so. And then also a big thank you to our hidden gems in Idaho who started let me just do this. Our hidden gems in Idaho who started Skyware, who owns Skyware. You guys sent me sunglasses. I love them. These are them. A link is in the description just as a thank you. But this is a gift from them. But I actually have been dealing with migraines this weekend. And so forgive me, I'm going to wear sunglasses today. I hope you understand, everyone. I'm going to keep healthy for the rest of the week. I don't want to get sick again this week. So let's just talk about what happened in court, what's happening in court so far. And the biggest thing is that the medical examiner and autopsy photos were shown. So what happened is we all walked in. It was the busiest day in court that I'd actually ever seen. It was really, really loud as I was sitting in line. I was first in line for media, but media is separate from public. And they had to come out twice and say, everybody needs to be quiet because just the crowd was so loud. And I sit not in the, so it's sort of like the DMV where you're sitting in a row and you're facing forward and so you don't see all the people behind you. So I was sitting there and I just heard it getting louder and louder and louder because I was in the front row facing the window and I finally turned around and I saw so many people. So all of the people that were here for the public did not get in today, but I met so many of you. Thank you so much for saying hi and introducing yourself. And we cannot take photos in the courthouse, but if any of you are here and you want to snag a photo, just let me know. So we walk in, we sit down after, the bailiffs are trying to manage these larger crowds, and Colby does walk in. We did a show over with him on his channel on Saturday, and he mentioned that he might be here, which I can't imagine the difficult day with autopsy photos and the medical examiner. I noticed that Kay Woodcock is not here. We did text over the weekend. Kay mentioned she might not go because it was going to be a hard day. And Charles Vallow's other siblings were also not there. Colby was sitting next to a victim's advocate, but on the front row was also Ray Hermosillo and Eric Wheeler, both with the Rexburg Police Department. One of the most heartbreaking witness testimonies from Lori Vallow's first trial was by Detective Ray Hermosillo as he spoke about finding Tylee and JJ's remains and unwrapping them and what he saw, and we saw photos. It's a day I will never forget. So he was here from Idaho today, sitting in the front row with also Eric Wheeler. And so Lori walks out in her navy blue suit, and I do know that she has somebody helping her with her clothes. A shirt untucked, don't know what she's doing with that look, maybe trying to cover the rack belt. I know I would if I were her. So kind of a puffy white shirt, not as tailored, but got to cover the rack belt, right? And the first person on the stand again was the medical examiner, Derek Baumgartner, and right away we saw Charles Vallow. Like, they did not wait. The first photo on the screen, large screen, was a close-up of Charles Vallow's deceased face, and it was heartbreaking. He was young, he was good-looking, he was fit, he was in shape, and I can't imagine just seeing him lying there. And it was clear that Colby was emotional seeing these photos, and although he sits in front of us and you can't completely see him, there at one point, the victim's advocate sitting next to him did put her arm around him. We saw Charles Vallow's bullet holes and a lot of different angles of him, bullet wounds, close-ups of him. I think actually the sun is going behind the clouds, so just a second. I'm gonna lift my sunglasses up. I'm doing a little bit better. It's a little bit cloudier. Hold on. I'm holding my mic today, so my fuzzy mic. And as we saw these photos, the bullet holes, so there was one that went directly through Charles's heart, and we saw it. And I am going to put this on my shirt, guys, so I can show you guys and demonstrate. All right, I'm back. Okay. So the bullet wound on Charles, and because photos weren't shown, I'm going to do my best to sort of describe this. Like center of his chest, just barely to the left, like right
right here, or right there, a little bit lower, and it went, they said, directly through his heart. And it was essentially the first shot. They showed both of his hands. His left hand had blood on it. His right hand, it looked like nothing was wrong. There were no abrasions, nothing. And they say that he could have put his hand right over his heart. Oh, it sounds better clipped. Now we know. This is going to be clipped for the rest of the trial. I love it. The things we learned together. So I will clip this from now on. And so, so we know that it went right through his heart, and they said that after that, he probably had 2 minutes at most before he was going to, die. And yes, he would be able to move and talk, and it would be likely that he put his hand on his heart. So sad. Both of his, well, first let me explain the other bullet wound. The other bullet wound, it was interesting. It was lower, right down here, and it was a lot lower than I thought, because they always talk about it exiting out of his shoulder, and I know they're explaining that it goes through his abdomen and out his shoulder, but the visual helped me today, because I was having a hard time understanding. It was very low on his abdomen, on his other side, excuse me, and, or no, this side, I don't know, right, left, right, and but it came out, the exit wound was just in his top shoulder blade, like right here, which they sort of explained that clearly means that Charles Vallow was shot, probably at his feet. His feet were lying there. The second shot on the ground. They also called it I forgot the name of it, but a shot that essentially means that he's up against a hard surface. They could tell from the exit wound through the shoulder blade with the second shot, they could absolutely tell that he was pressed up against a hard surface. And as we know, they did find that bullet that came out of his shoulder blade, that was right underneath his shoulder blade, in the hardwood floor. So there is just so much evidence that Charles Vallow was shot while he was laying on the ground, after already he took a bullet to the heart. That there's like the evidence, and someone told me Prosecutor Trina Kay's sort of MO is first she tells and then she shows. And certainly today on Monday, she is showing exactly what happened. And I helped get a clearer picture. Like, someone had to have been at an angle beyond Charles Vallow's feet, point the gun at him, and at such an angle for it to go through his abdomen and out of his shoulder blade and lodge into the hardwood floor. Thank you, Grandma Michigan, for your gifted memberships. It was just so clear, and it was so heartbreaking. Another thing that they noted today that I had never seen before was, so they showed that his hands were clean, no abrasions, which is interesting, because if there could be defense wounds, right? Like, none of us know what happened in the house. We can all speculate. We can all imagine. We can all think that maybe Lori created a conflict by taking his phone, right? Or we can imagine that he walked right into the house, and before he knew anything, he was just shot right there. Or we can speculate a lot of what happened, and none of us know. And there's certainly a lot to speculate about after seeing the crime scene and the scuffle and the bat and what was staged, what wasn't. But this was new, and he had wounds on his knees, 2 wounds on his knees. And the medical examiner with Trina Kay, I mean, you guys watched, you were on the live stream, or not all of you are. I know some of you come here just to get an update. But those of you that were on the live stream saw that Prosecutor Trina Kay said that could very well happen excuse me, the medical examiner, Trina Kay asked the questions, the medical examiner answered and said, this could be because he fell to the floor fell to his knees after being shot in the heart, that those wounds could have happened right then. But I will say, they almost looked like scabs from what I could see. I know they weren't, but they said that these wounds happened peri-mortem, at or near the time of death. And from what I could see on the screen, and they showed them, they almost looked like scabs or red wounds. Like it was red. They were bloody. It wasn't just like bruises. And I am trying to imagine if he landed just directly on that hardwood floor in the living room where he was shot, if that would really occur, or if he needed to be outside. I don't know. I don't know. Again, all we can do is speculate. I'll just say it was a little surprising, but yes, the medical examiner confirmed that this could have happened from Charles Vallow falling to his knees after he was shot in the heart and then covering his chest with his left hand. So heartbreaking. And again, there were no abrasions or anything else on his hands to sort of imply a scuffle. So who knows? Who knows? We'll never know. And then on cross-exam, Lori came up though, and with the cross-exam, she said, could those abrasions on his knees that you mentioned were perimortem, could that have happened because of a scuffle? And the medical examiner said, sure, that could happen because of a scuffle. So again, we'll never know. Did somebody grab him outside and put him on his knees? I don't know. Did he go outside to get JJ and somebody grabbed him? I don't know. We'll never know. So heartbreaking. And again, Colby was really, really emotional during this. It was emotional. I had to look away at one point during autopsy photos. I just decided to look down, tried to see what I needed to understand. But then after a while, as I kept doing close-ups and close-ups, you know, autopsies, right? Like they're getting specific. Even I just decided to look away. Another thing Lori asked on cross that was interesting was asked about toxicology, and you know, they explained what they tested for: alcohol, drugs. None of that was found. And she said, well, would you find, you know, testosterone or, you know, growth, or, I mean, and they said, no, we wouldn't discover that. I think implying that, you know, maybe he's angrier than typical because he's on testosterone, but he was a very fit 60-year-old man. I know that is not uncommon for 60-year-old men who care about their health to start taking hormones. So it's not unheard of, you know, but it was almost like she was trying to imply that he was on steroids. Thus, you know, we all know that illegal use of steroids can cause anger and rage, and I think that's what she was trying to imply. But I don't, you know, you've got a nearly all male jury. I don't know if that's where they would go. It's again very clear that Charles was an athlete. He was fit. They said that he was nearly 6 feet tall and weighed like 207-ish pounds. 207, I think, is what they said. And then the next witness on the stand, for a moment, Colby walked out, I noted, and I wondered if he was going to be coming back. But in the middle of the next witness, he did come back in. He was escorted back in. Again, he goes in and out of a victim entrance. And up on the front row as well is Megan Connor sitting too. I forgot to mention her, but Megan Connor is also on the front row. And so on the other side of Eric Wheeler and Ray Hermosillo. So the second witness on the stand was is it Mark Suri, and he essentially does, I'll get away from the ringing phone. Someone's phone sounds like one from 1990s over there. I'm like having flashbacks as a kid. So Mark Suri, he was the fraud inspector for Social Security, and that was a big moment, right? Because again, JJ and Tylee come up. Thank you to our moderator, Troublemaker, who created emojis to remember JJ and Tylee. Because as this time came up, it was really heartbreaking to talk about how she filed for Social Security and she received from Tylee benefits, parent-child benefits when a spouse dies, and then for JJ, she receives spouse benefits for him for nearly $2,000, and then also for her for nearly $2,000, and hers would be removed if she got married. Well, we know that she got married to Chad Daybell on November 5th, 2019. And we also learned today, speculation over, that she became Lori Daybell on November 5th, 2019. That was said today in court. We have always wondered, when did she change her name legally? Well, it was when she got married to Chad Daybell, because getting married and changing your last name can be different dates, and we've never really known what was legal, what she just wanted. Her name is legally Lori Noreen Daybell. Anyway, which makes it irks me even more that she demands to always refer to Charles as her husband when, girl, your husband is sitting on death row, and don't forget it. And your last name is Daybell, just like you requested it to be. So don't even try to claim Charles Vallow right now, right? So anyway, and it looks like I do need to go soon. We're heading back inside for court, and there's going to be some motions. But pretty much the biggest thing with the Social Security was that Lori did not ever, ever, ever say, ever, that she was married to Chad Daybell. And it was a great cross, solid cross, when she's like, well, could you have just not known? And he was pretty much like, no, it was never reported. I did my investigation. I'm a fraud investigator. It was never reported that you got married, which means she still received Social Security benefits. So then, and I do have to hurry. I could talk about this forever, but I will have a full recap tonight, a full recap tonight. But you know, one thing that was also she tried to claim with Mark was, well, one moment to note that I think people missed is as she was cross-examining, she referred to it as a fraud, not alleged fraud. She goes, so this fraud, oh, we heard it, not alleged fraud. We'll have that in our recap too. And then we had a third witness who's just beginning, guys, and it's gonna be big. You guys know Banner Life Insurance. We are about to listen to a call from Banner Life Insurance, and Lori calling. And it's going to be interesting. As far as you guys also want to know what Lori was feeling or thinking during autopsy photos, she was looking at all the pictures. I saw no reaction whatsoever. Of course, admittedly, sometimes her hair, we see her hair too in court. I saw no reaction. But we're going to have to ask Colby later what he thinks about it. You know, and if he saw any reaction from where he's sitting on the front row, as well as Megan Connor, who probably has a pretty good view of her face. The jurors, not many reactions. They did ask questions today. We'll get to those on the recap, because again, I've got to go back upstairs and get in line to go back into court. So again, thank you to Skyware for this really kind gift. I really appreciate it. Thank you to all of you. Head back over to our live chat, and thank you to those who are gifting memberships and all these kind gifts. I'm seeing them as I scroll. It means so much. We do not have that many witnesses left, guys, for the state, just so you know. We've already gone through 3, well, 2.5 before lunch, and we started, there were really, so there's only 5 left after this one finishes, after this one finishes. So let's go inside, let's go hear this life insurance call, go head over to our stream, and when you're on our stream, make sure that you're signed up for membership gifting, because there are a lot of kind people in there gifting memberships. We want everyone to have the trial emoji so that we can say justice for Charles, JJ, Tylee, and remember Tammy Daybell too. All right, guys, and I think we even have an Aunt Vicky emoji today. See you guys, headed back in. See you inside as future Lauren. Bye-bye.